Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Devin, the original Grognard, Grognard's Corner. I guess the Grognard's table? I'll just keep with the Grognard's Corner. Sorry it's been so long since I got a video out. I know the last video I did when I was kind of previewing Dark City games and going over my playthrough, or what I was going to be playing through The Thing in the Lake. I said, yeah, take me a couple, 3 days, 4 days maybe to get the next video. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. I get distracted sometimes. Bright shiny squirrel comes running by and I get distracted. Steam sale, summer work up at my folks' place, more Steam sales. What? Don't judge me. Jeez. But anyways, here we are. So as I was saying, I did play through The Thing in the Lake, and a couple things that I do want to point out that I erroneously made misconceptions of when I did the first video. I kind of mentioned that I was only making one character to play through the game. No, come to find out you need a full party of 4 characters. Yeah, let's just say running through with one guy, it ended poorly. Yeah. But I went ahead and re-rolled 3 other characters, went through, had a lot of fun. It's your standard fantasy tropes in there, but I think it took me about 3.5, maybe 4 hours to play through. And I only went through about 75% of the adventure. There are 3 main areas that you have before the final area, and it's kind of set up where you can just do one of the areas before you move on to the final area. Or you can go through all 4 of them, or all 3 of them before you move on to the final. I went through 2 of them before I went on to the final, and it had some pretty good. Occasionally threw a curveball at me, like the passel of children I had following me around that for the rest of the game prevented me from running away from any encounters. And I'm not going to get into detail. You want to know what happens? Buy the game. But overall, had a lot of fun. Also, last time I went over the video, I kind of erroneously mentioned that there was no listing for starting funds for Blood in the Dust. There is, I kind of missed it. Yeah. Players start with 4 32-point characters, each with 4 skill points, and each character begins with $10. So, yeah. I was talking to George, the owner and writer. He said, no, it's in there. And I went back and was like, oh, yeah, so it is. He said, yeah, it's probably not in a very good point. I'll change the master file and move it down to starting equipment. So, yeah, I guess that's all the catch-up that I have to do and commentary on the last video. This is not going to be a complete full playthrough. I'm not going to go through the entire thing, mainly because, well, spoilers. But if you see me play everything out in this, you're not going to want to buy it yourself. And, well, part of my job title, part of what I like to do is make sure that, I give enough to whet a person's appetite so they go out and buy the games from the companies. So, well, most of the games I cover don't exist anymore, but the few that do, I gotta support the game companies, guys. This is a small little game company. So we're not going to be going through the entire thing. We're going to be going through a chunk. We'll see how it goes. I've had a little one of my delays has been a slight trepidation on how to approach this, because really this is going to be something completely different than anything I've ever done before. So I've been mentally trying to figure out how to approach it, and I can't say that I've got it all down, but so we're going to kind of chalk this up to one of my usual bumbling playthroughs that. Yeah, we're just going to say I'm not a clever man. And if I make mistakes, well, I'm an idiot. So we got our 4 characters right here. And for some reason, they're labeled A, D, E, and F. I'm pretty sure I know why they're not A, B, C, and D. B, because, he's got some bears here. So you want to label the bears as B instead of a player character as B. And you've got some cougars. So that takes up the C. So that's D, E, and F. So the 4 characters I made up. I'm not going to go over them too much. A His name's Clint. Yeah, I know, not original name. Sue me. He's a rifle. He's got a rifle +2. He's got riding, leadership, and stealth. And then D is going to be John. He's going to be a pistol expert, and he's got a couple pistols, pistol 2, riding and climbing. Oops, I just noticed I had 5 skills on character A on Clint, so we'll get rid of the stealth. E, this I guess that's a female character. It looks like a female character. Annie. Yeah, I know, not original. Sue me. She's got rifle 1, driver for wagons, riding, and locks, because, you know, lock picking is going to be a useful skill. The plains of Kansas in the 1850s. And F is June. I have no idea or Jane. Calamity Jane. That's where I came up with. She doesn't have any weapon skills. But charisma, medic, and she speaks Spanish and Indian Sign Language, which will probably come in handy on the plains of Kansas in the 1850s. This game, I'll just go ahead and kind of go through the startup here and then make some more commentary. Okay, so begin. The Army provides each I should probably to give an idea of what's going on. It is 1856 in the far reaches of Kansas Territory at the base of the Rocky Mountain. Weeks ago, military authorities at the new Fort Bent sent out a small party of 6 cavalry soldiers to punish raiders for stealing kidnapping women and sheep, kidnapping women and children, and murdering men from settlements. It's been too long and the cavalry soldiers have not returned. It's your job to find them, or at least find out what happened to them. It is now October 15th, and by November 30th you must be pressing back southwards through the Smith settlement to escape the raging blizzards of winter. It has already snowed in the highest mountain passes, and travel may soon be curtailed, if not shut down completely. You must move quickly before it's too late. So yeah, basically it's October 15th. I've got until November 30th. That's 6 weeks. So, and we're just going to go ahead and start reading from right. I don't know if I should show it or not, because if I show it, then while I'm reading it, people may have an inclination to kind of peer over at the other entries, and I don't think I'm going to do that. The Army provides each character 2 horses, 1 to ride, 1 for burden. Everyone begins with 2 weeks' rations. In addition, each character gets a Sharps rifle. Now, this would be, since this is 1856, it would probably be the 1855 version. Sharps rifle was a breech-loading rifle. It was a 52 caliber. Thing was an absolute friggin' beast. But it was a single shot. You fire, you drop the breech, you pop the old shell out, you pop the new shell in. Now, in this game, it says a Sharps breech-loading rifle takes 3 turns to reload. This is the gun nut in me kind of is squirming a little bit. Sharps rifle only took about 5 seconds to reload. If you know what you're doing, the average rate of fire with the Sharps was 8 to 10 rounds a minute. But, I'm sure it has to do with game balance, because it is an obscenely high damage weapon. So, yeah, each character gets 1 Sharps rifle, 1 Colt 1851 Navy revolver. Now, this would be the Navy Peacemaker, which would be a cap and ball. It was a 36 caliber pistol, which really is really a really small round. By today's standards, due to bullet weight and grain velocity that they used back then, this is the equivalent of about a 380 nowadays. So if you know anything about guns, the 36 Navy Peacemaker was pretty much the equivalent of modern day 380. That kind of tells you how weak of a gun it was. Ammunition with enough to trade, and 1 hunting knife. Each character has a wool blanket and a canvas tent half, 2 required to make a whole tent. Your mission is to discover the fate of the 6 cavalry soldiers sent to punish frontier raiders. You're to report your findings to the captain at Bent's Fort. If you can bring evidence, so much the better. You must be back at Smith's Ranch by November 30th, or you will not make it to the fort in time. Before you embark on the mission, you have the opportunity to purchase supplies. In addition to the equipment and animals issued to you for the trip, you can purchase any of the following equipment, provided you have the funds. And I did, if you can kind of read my horrible chicken scratch here, which is kind of my notes. So October 15th, I got until November 30th, so that's going to be my time thingy. My rations, 14 days. I'm going to have to pick up more because I'm, 6 weeks. Supplies, 40 cigars, fishing line and pole times 4, 10 boxes of matches, 200 feet of rope, 2 shovels, and then I got my hit points down below for my individual characters. I think I have like $20 left over, $29 left over. So yeah, talking to George because I had some questions I had to ask him about some stuff that cropped up in the thing on the lake. And he basically said, we're trying to keep the game as simple as possible. So if you want a house rule or need to house rule something, go ahead. So I'm kind of taking that to heart and house ruling what I want because the writer said I could. So I'm going to. So basically, for equipment, Clint, he's got the Sharps. He's also got a pistol, the Colt Navy Peacekeeper as a backup to his Sharps. John's got twin Colt 1851s. Annie has got herself a shotgun. I decided instead of a Sharps, I'm just going to give her a shotgun. And Jane has got a single Colt 1911. So instead of having everybody have Sharps and the same pistols, I kind of mixed it up a little bit. So there. All right, so we'll go ahead and start off. Start off with 000. Okay, the sun sinks below the jagged mountains to the west, casting long shadows across the expanse of the plains. You pull your coat in tight around you, bracing for the chill of the night. You have ridden over 60 miles up the Arkansas River from Fort Bent, Arkansas, or Kansas, however you want to pronounce it, before coming upon the ruins of Fort Pueblo. Pueblo was vacated 2 short years ago as a result of Ute and there's an Apache Raiders. It's a type of Apache Raider I'd never seen before. Well, we'll just go with Apache Raiders. You turned following Fountain Creek and then Monument Creek to the north. Finally, another 60 miles later, here you stand at the Smith settlement. It is evening and daylight dwindles. You can now go talk to Mrs. Smith and her 4 children to get leads on the 6 cavalry soldiers sent to punish the raiders. Begin counting ration consumptions at this point. Go to 001. All right, you're at a quiet settlement under the towering front range of the Rocky Mountains. Several farmhouses, utility sheds, and cellars dot the open grasses circumscribed by rough wooden fences. The plain extends along the mountains to the north, that gives you an option to go to another area, Area 10, and the whole into the wide prairie to the east, into the foothills that rise to the west. You can explore the small but sturdy house, barn, or cellar. If you have found out what happened to the party of cavalry soldiers and are returning to Fort Bent's Fort, go to 205. So we're here. What we're going to do is we're going to check out everything that we got first. We got to explore the small but sturdy house, barn, or cellar. Let's go check out the house, 03. There is no answer as you knock on the cold wooden door. You push it open and a loud creak sounds from dormant hinges. Looking around, you find torn clothing and scattered belongings littering the floor. Clearly, this place was looted. Among the belongings left in the house, you find a small mirror and a torn but usable wooden blanket. You can tie up your horses outside and sleep here for the night, or you can step outside the cabin. You know what? We're not done exploring, so let's step outside the cabin and go back to 1. All right, so now we've got the barn and the cellar to go check out, so let's go check out the barn. You stand in a primitive wood barn with a scent of old manure reaching up to your noses. I take this as a kind of a segue into something else. I grew up on a farm, and I always have enjoyed the odoriferous sense of nature. My sister never has; she hates it. But whenever I go to the county fair or the state fair that comes through here in Seattle, it always brings that scent of manure always brings back a good feeling to me, because when I was young and carefree and I was a child and life was good and I didn't have any type of weight on my mind, it always brings back good memories. So I don't know why I brought that up. I just did. Despite the soft earth underfoot, the farm looks as if it hasn't been used for weeks. You can dig through a pile of old tools to see if there's something useful, bring in your horses and sleep here for the night, or you can exit the barn. Well, let's go ahead and dig through and see if I can find something useful. You push aside some clutter and find a pile of seemingly broken old tools. You reach forward to examine the tools. Just then, you see some movement out of the corner of the eye. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. While passing a 3 IQ or a 4 DX, choose one. You step back just in time to hear the warning of a rattlesnake. If you fail, the snake strikes with lightning speed, striking its fangs into your outstretched hand. And within minutes, your hand burns with searing pain. If bitten, the victim takes 2d6 damage points. Before you can grab a shovel and chop up the snake, it slithers out of the hole in the wall. Well, that would kind of suck. So we're going to go with, let's see, when you have a test, and I'll kind of show you this right here. It says you have a 3 IQ or 4 DX. Basically, when you have a test like that, you choose one of your characters, and we're going to go with Jane. She's actually got the highest IQ. We're going to make it a 4 IQ test. And basically, her IQ is a 14. So I got to roll 4 dice and roll under a 14. Or I could do a dex check. It would be 3 dice. Actually, you know what? Let's go with the dex check. Let's go with Clint. Clint's got a dexterity of 12. So we'll go with 3 dice on a 12. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yay! Didn't get bit by the nasty old rattlesnake. And it slid away. Okay, so it just sends us back up to 4. I've already dug through the tools, nothing there. Bring the horses in and sleep for the night, or you can exit the barn. Let's exit the barn. And because we still got the cellar to check out, so go check out the cellar. Solid wooden door guards entry down into the cellar, built at an angle into a rise in the ground. You carefully unlatch the door, gingerly pull it aside. Carefully unlatch the door, gingerly pull it aside, and descend down the rough steps into the cool darkness of the underground storage. Looking around the dim light, you find some salted meats hanging in the ceiling and some dried fruits and vegetables stored in wax papers. Okay, there's 20 days worth of rations here. Thank God. We're grabbing those rations. So, go ahead and just mark it down. Let's see. 20 days worth of rations. Now, the question is this 20 days worth of rations for one person or 20 days worth of rations for 4 people? Doesn't exactly clearly state that. I'm going to assume it is going to be 20 days worth of rations for one person. So break that down 4 ways. It's basically 5 days. So I've got 19 days. I got 19 days worth of rations. Okay. I hope I'm not screwing myself over and end up starving. Okay, so we can exit the cellar. So we're back up out on the plains. Let's see. We have the mountains to the north, wide prairie to the east, and foothills that rise to the west. I'm going to have to draw a friggin' map for this, aren't I? Oh. So let me go ahead. Let's see if I can. Actually, you know what? Let's use this paper here that's got my character sheets on it. So slide this over a little bit. What do we got? We're in the Smith farm and we're going north, east, and west, right? Those are the 3 choices we have to go. You are standing before a gated fence. You have been eaten by a grue. For those of you that remember the original text adventure Zork. Let's see. Mountains to the north, prairie to the east. Okay, so we got farm. So let's draw a little farm right here. A little chimney with some smoke coming out of it and the door. This is 001, which is the Smith farm. I'm not going to write that down. But we got mountains to the north. Let's see. Plains expands along the mountains. Yeah, so we've got north, east, and west. So we got mountains this way. And we've got prairie to the east. Prairie, yes, I know, my handwriting is garbage. And foothills this way. So I don't want to rest for the night, because if I rest for the night, I'm going to have to eat something. So you know what? Let's go to the foothills. Let's go west. So into the foothills that rise to the west. So that leads us to event 30. flip to the 30. Okay. You climb across the rocks that fill the precipice canyon. Around you are tall evergreens that cling to the steep mountainsides and large borders, precariously balanced. Without a warning, loose gravel gives way underfoot, unleashing a flood of rocks down the slope. Select a marching order going up or down the canyon for the highest character to the lowest. Each character checks 3dx. Any character that fails suffers d3 damage from the rock slide. Additionally, every character under him must pass 4dx or take 3d3 damage. Once the party is recovered, continue up the canyon to the west. Okay, so we've got the canyon. Go ahead and jot this down. So instead of foothills, let's just... So we're going to draw... Yeah, there's a little bit of a canyon. And the walls and the slopes of the canyon. I'm not an artist. Okay. But okay, so let's go. Marching order is going to be like this. Clint and John, highest to lowest. So, okay, where was I? 30. I was at 30. So from the highest character to the lowest, each character checks 3dx. All right, so we're gonna check the first one, which is gonna be Clint. He's got 12. Oops, helps if I actually. Okay, 12. 6, 7, 8. He made it. Next is going to be John with a 10 dexterity. 11, 12, 13. He fails, so he's going to end up taking damage. So he's going to take D3 damage, which is going to be 1. So, all right, so he takes 1. And unfortunately, let's see, what does it say? Everyone below him. Any character under him, so we're going to assume that Clint is under him. So he's going to have to roll a 4dx. So we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so he makes it. And then Annie has got a 10 dexterity, so she's got to do this for a 3. 3, 6, 7, she's fine. And then Jane has got an 8 dexterity. Oopsie. Yeah, she fails it, so she takes a D3 damage, which is going to be 1 point of damage. And everybody below her, additionally, every character under him must pass 4dx or take D3 damage. All right, so Annie is going to, it's a 4D, yeah, 4. Annie, let's see, well, okay, so Annie's going to end up falling, so she'll take another she'll take a D3 damage, which is, 3, icky. And then John is going to have to take D3 damage, or do a check. Dex 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, he's good. And then Clint is a 12. So everybody ends up taking a bit of a tumble. 3 points of damage. Not good start. All right, let's see. Once the party is recovered, you can continue up the canyon to the west. Pencil for my map here. So you can continue canyon to the west, down to the east, or you can leave. Okay, so down to the east will just take me back to where I was, or you can look around. You know what? It gives me the option to look around. I'm going to look around. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up having to roll dice to see if I fall off the cliff again. Having regained your composure, you look through the rocky slope, looking for anything that might be of interest. A piece of metal catches your eye, and you pick up a bullet mold. Other than that, you find nothing of interest. For those of you who don't know, bullet mold is exactly kind of how it sounds. You can mold bullets out of it. It's you basically take some lead, melt it down, and pour it into the mold. And depending on what caliber the mold is set for, you can cast a bullet that way. Most often you see round balls being done this way, although some mini balls were done as well. So, but we're going to add that to our party loot. What do we got? Party loot, supplies, bullet mold. Of course, it doesn't say what caliber, but whatever. One thing I did want to say about the Sharps. If any of y'all have seen the movie Quigley Down Under, yeah, the rifle that Tom Selleck used was a modified Sharps rifle. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing how a Sharps works in action, go YouTube Tom Selleck and the movie Quigley Down Under. All right, so we looked around. We can continue up the canyon to the west. So we're going to continue up the canyon to the west. We're actually starting to get. You know what? We're going to go ahead and cut it right here because we're starting to get to that half-hour point where the camera will cut out. I hope everybody enjoyed. I know this is a really, really different approach to how I normally do things, and I swear as soon as we get done with this, I will go back to traditional standard war games. I've got. I managed to pick up one of my Grail games from the Pay It Forward group. Not really a Grail game because I owned it at one point. It was one of the titles that I had one of the multitude of titles that I ended up losing after I got out of the service. But so it's really nice to get it back into the collection. But it is GMT's 1994 release of Britain Stands Alone, Hypothetical Invasion of England, Operation Sea Lion. The one thing I always thought that was great about this, it has multiple scenarios. One of the scenarios that you get to play out is kind of a separate little game where you're trying to crush the RAF and sink as much of the British shipping as possible, and then you use that to roll over for the actual invasion, or you can just jump into an invasion scenario. So yeah, that one's going on the table next. But like I said, I want to get through this. We haven't really seen too much action yet other than a bunch of Keystone Clowns falling down a cliff face. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section, and I will talk to everybody next time. See ya!